Welcome back, Warriors of Destiny. There's a battle most don't see, a silent war against your own power. You've been trained to be agreeable, polite, accommodating. But what if I told you that being nice is the very thing stealing your strength? A lion does not seek permission to roar. Today, we uncover the hidden cost of being too nice and why the chosen ones are called to something greater. If you're tired of feeling overlooked, disrespected, or drained, this is your wake-up call. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll see why reclaiming your power is not just an option, it's your divine mandate. Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed. This journey isn't for everyone, but if it's for you, you'll know it. You've been conditioned to say yes when your spirit screams no. The world has set up an invisible contract with those who carry a calling. You must be agreeable. You must be self-sacrificing. You must conform to the expectations placed upon you. But what if I told you that every time you agree to something that drains you, you are handing over a piece of your power? What if I told you that by avoiding conflict, by seeking approval, by allowing others to dictate your actions, you are slowly suffocating the fire that was placed inside you? The agreement trap is one of the most subtle, yet effective ways that the enemy keeps the chosen ones from stepping fully into their calling. It's not about physical chains. It's about the silent, unseen chains of obligation, of false humility, of misplaced loyalty. Think about the moments in your life where you felt the need to agree just to keep the peace. How many times have you said yes to something that deep down you knew was pulling you away from your higher purpose? It happens in small ways, but over time, it becomes a pattern. The agreement trap is designed to keep you trapped in cycles of compliance, slowly stripping you of your authority. If you can't say no, you have no control over your own destiny. The chosen ones must learn that agreement is not always a virtue. It can be a weapon used against you. There's a hidden cost to being too agreeable. You don't just lose time or energy. You lose a part of yourself. You begin to live a life dictated by others' expectations rather than your divine mandate. And here's the worst part. Most people won't even notice. The world is comfortable with your silence. They will encourage you to stay agreeable because it benefits them. But you were never meant to be convenient. You were meant to be disruptive in the best way possible. When you start saying no, people will resist. They will call you selfish, unkind, even arrogant. That is the reaction of those who benefited from your silence. But understand this, your purpose was never meant to be put up for a vote. If you don't break free from the agreement trap, you will live your entire life seeking permission for things that were already yours to take. How do you break free? The first step is awareness. Recognize where you have been conditioned to agree out of fear rather than conviction. Then, start reclaiming your voice. Say no. Stand firm. Let the discomfort come, because that discomfort is the birth of your true authority. The chosen ones were never meant to blend in. They were meant to set the standard. You give, they take. Over and over. You think it's compassion, but in reality, it's slow spiritual exhaustion. The chosen ones are not called to be everyone's emotional supply line. Energy is one of the most valuable resources you have, and yet most people don't realize that their kindness is being used as a currency. Every time you extend yourself to people who only take, you are making an investment. But what is the return? Most chosen ones have the gift of empathy. You feel deeply. You see the struggles of others, and you want to help. That is part of your design. But there is a difference between strategic giving and reckless self-sacrifice. The world will tell you that kindness is endless, that you should always be available, that love means never withholding. That is a lie. Even Jesus withdrew from crowds to regain his strength. Even he knew that constant giving without replenishing would weaken the mission. Your energy is sacred. It was given to you to fulfill your purpose, not to be drained by those who refuse to take responsibility for their own lives. There is a difference between helping and enabling. There is a difference between uplifting and carrying dead weight. The people who continuously take from you without ever pouring back into you are not your assignment. They are distractions. If you find yourself constantly exhausted, it's time to reassess where your energy is going. The chosen ones must learn that protecting their energy is not selfish, it's essential. You are not an infinite well. Your strength, your wisdom, your time, all of it needs to be managed with precision. The enemy knows that if he cannot break you, he will try to exhaust you. This is why so many chosen ones feel drained, discouraged, and disoriented. It is not because they lack ability. It is because they have been conditioned to give without boundaries. To break free, you must start seeing your energy as a divine asset. Before you give, ask yourself, is this aligned with my purpose? Will this strengthen me or weaken me? Am I pouring into someone who respects the gift, or am I allowing my power to be siphoned away by those who only take? The answer will tell you everything. You weren't chosen to blend in. You were set apart. Every time you prioritize their comfort over your calling, you shrink. That's not humility. That's surrendering your authority. People-pleasing is not just a bad habit. It is a form of self-sabotage that keeps the chosen ones from stepping into their full potential. The need to be liked, to be accepted, to be seen as good is one of the most dangerous traps ever created. Why? Because it turns warriors into servants of public opinion. It silences voices that were meant to shake nations. Think about it. Every time you hesitate to speak truth because you don't want to offend someone, you are choosing their approval over your purpose. Every time you say yes to something you don't want to do just to avoid disappointing someone, you are handing over your power. And here's the brutal reality. Most people don't even respect those who constantly seek approval. They may like you, they may find you agreeable, but they won't follow you. They won't see you as a leader. They will take what they can from you and move on. The chosen ones were not sent to this world to be liked. They were sent to stand for something greater. And if you are truly standing for something, you will offend people. That is the cost of carrying truth. That is the price of leadership. If your biggest fear is making people uncomfortable, you will never rise into your full authority. Look at the ones who have changed history. None of them were people pleasers. They were disruptors. They were bold. They were willing to be hated because they knew their purpose was bigger than temporary approval. The same applies to you. Stop seeking validation. Stop trying to be liked. You were not chosen to be popular. You were chosen to be powerful. And power does not beg for acceptance. To break free from people-pleasing, you must rewire your thinking. Ask yourself, would I rather be liked, or would I rather fulfill my purpose? Would I rather keep the peace, or would I rather walk in truth? The answer to those questions will determine the trajectory of your life. When you tolerate everything, you stand for nothing. The chosen ones carry divine discernment. But when you silence your own convictions to avoid conflict, you blind yourself to truth. Tolerance has become a false virtue. The world tells you that to be good, you must accept everything, embrace everything, approve of everything. But that is not wisdom. That is deception. There is a difference between love and tolerance. Love speaks truth. Love corrects. Love has boundaries. Tolerance, on the other hand, demands that you silence yourself, ignore your instincts, and accept things that go against your spirit. It is a slow erosion of discernment. When you stop questioning, when you stop resisting, when you stop drawing lines, you become neutral. And neutrality is the enemy of power. The chosen ones must understand that discernment is a gift. You are given the ability to see through deception. But if you ignore it, if you suppress it, if you override it to fit in, you are betraying that gift. The world will call you intolerant. They will call you harsh. But truth has always been offensive to those who love lies. Look at how the world operates. Those who are bold in deception have no problem pushing their agenda. They are loud. They are aggressive. They take up space. But those who carry truth, they have been convinced to be silent, to be passive, to accept everything in the name of peace. But peace without truth is not peace. It is surrender. If you feel the pressure to accept things that go against your convictions, recognize it for what it is. It is an attack on your authority. It is an attempt to make you ineffective. Do not fall for it. Stand firm. Speak truth. Be unwavering. The world does not need more agreeable people. It needs warriors who will hold the line. Chasing approval is a slow death. Those who walk in power understand this. Favor with God is not the same as favor with man. Stop confusing validation with value. The enemy has convinced many that if they are liked, if they are accepted, if they are praised, then they are on the right path. But that is not true. Some of the most powerful, most anointed, most chosen people have been rejected, misunderstood, and even hated. That is the cost of carrying true authority. The world rewards conformity. It will celebrate you as long as you fit into its mold. But the moment you step out, the moment you embrace your true identity, the moment you stop seeking validation, you will see the shift. Some people will withdraw. Others will turn against you. That is not a sign of failure. That is a sign that you are finally walking in power. When you live for approval, you live as a slave. You make decisions based on how others will react instead of what is right. You hesitate. You second-guess yourself. You suppress your instincts. That is not leadership. That is bondage. The chosen ones must break free from this mindset. You do not need permission to walk in your calling. You do not need validation to be effective. The ones who truly carry purpose do not wait for applause. They move whether people see them or not. The shift happens when you realize that rejection is often redirection. The ones who walk away were never meant to go with you. The ones who attack you are revealing themselves. The ones who misunderstand you are not your responsibility. When you stop seeking validation, you step into true power. And when you walk in true power, you become unstoppable. The truth offends. Always has, always will. The chosen ones were never meant to be universally accepted. Stop seeing rejection as failure. Sometimes it's confirmation. The world has conditioned people to believe that if they are making others uncomfortable, they are doing something wrong. But here's what most won't tell you. The ones who change the world are the ones who disrupt it first. Look at history. Every major shift, every breakthrough, every movement that altered the course of humanity started with someone who refused to conform. Someone who spoke the truth despite the resistance. Someone who stood firm despite the pressure to be silent. The chosen ones are not here to fit into the world's system. They are here to expose it. If you are afraid of offending people, you will never walk in power. Not because being offensive is the goal, but because truth, by its nature, offends those who are invested in deception. If you say nothing, if you challenge nothing, if you go along with the crowd, you may avoid conflict, but you also forfeit your authority. Rejection is not the enemy. Fear of rejection is. The need to be accepted is a trap that weakens the chosen ones. Every time you hold back, every time you stay silent, every time you shrink to avoid being misunderstood, you are giving up territory that was meant to be yours. Do not mistake rejection for failure. Often, it is proof that you are walking in truth. The strongest warriors are the ones who can stand alone if necessary. They do not need a crowd. They do not need approval. They move with purpose, knowing that alignment with their calling is more important than agreement with the masses. This is the mindset you must develop. You will offend people. You will make some uncomfortable. That is not a sign that you are wrong. That is a sign that you are shifting the atmosphere. You've been told saying no is selfish. It's not. It's strategic. Every time you say yes to the wrong things, you are saying no to your purpose. Boundaries are not barriers. They are the walls that protect your mission. If you do not learn to say no, you will spend your life drained, distracted, and ineffective. The enemy knows he cannot stop the chosen ones directly, so he uses a different tactic: distraction. He fills their lives with unnecessary obligations, pointless conversations, and draining relationships. He convinces them that setting boundaries is unkind, that protecting their time is selfish, that prioritizing their calling over people's expectations is wrong. And many fall for it. They stretch themselves thin, trying to be everything for everyone, not realizing that they are watering down their own power. Saying no is an act of authority. It is a declaration that your time, your energy, and your focus are not up for public consumption. It is recognizing that not everything deserves your attention. Not every battle is yours to fight, and not every demand placed on you is aligned with your purpose. Boundaries do not push people away. They reveal who respects you. The ones who get angry when you set limits are the ones who benefited from your lack of them. When you start saying no, you will notice a shift. Some people will walk away. Let them. They were never meant to stay. The ones who truly value you, the ones who are meant to be part of your journey, will respect your boundaries without resistance. The chosen ones must master this. They must learn to walk in confidence, to protect their energy, to guard their focus. If you do not control your time, someone else will. If you do not guard your energy, the wrong people will drain it. Boundaries are not an option. They are a necessity for anyone who is serious about walking in power. Nice people beg for permission. Warriors move with authority. If you carry divine purpose, you must speak, act, and live like it. The chosen ones were not designed to live in hesitation. They were meant to walk in confidence, knowing that what has been placed inside them is greater than the opinions of others. Authority is not something you wait for. It is something you step into. The moment you recognize that you do not need permission to be who you were created to be, everything shifts. You stop seeking validation. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop explaining your decisions to people who were never meant to understand them. There is a reason the world tries to keep the chosen ones in a state of doubt. There is a reason they are bombarded with fear, with hesitation, with thoughts that make them question their worth. Because the moment they fully embrace their authority, they become unstoppable. How do you reclaim your authority? You act. You move forward without waiting for external confirmation. You trust the instincts that were placed inside you. You stop looking for signs and start walking in faith. You stop asking permission from people who do not carry your vision. The chosen ones were not called to move with hesitation. They were called to shift atmospheres. And that can only happen when they stop shrinking, stop questioning, and start walking in the fullness of who they were created to be. Every time you silence yourself to keep the peace, you chip away at your own identity. The chosen ones are not meant to fit in. They are meant to shift the atmosphere. The world rewards those who conform, who suppress their instincts, who ignore their convictions for the sake of acceptance. But you were never designed to live that way. Your identity is your greatest weapon. It is what sets you apart. It is what gives you power. And yet, many have been convinced to hide it. They tone down their passion. They hold back their truth. They suppress their gifts because they fear how others will react. But when you betray yourself to please others, you are choosing comfort over calling. You were not created to be invisible. You were not sent here to blend in. You were placed in this world to stand out, to lead, to shift the atmosphere wherever you go. But that can only happen when you embrace your true identity without apology. The moment you stop compromising, you will see everything change. Some people will not recognize you anymore. That's okay. You are not the same. You are evolving. You are stepping into the version of yourself that was always meant to emerge. Stop betraying yourself. Stop suppressing your power. The world does not need more people who fit in. It needs those who are bold enough to be different. The chosen ones were never meant to be silent. They were meant to be seen. Avoiding conflict is not peace. It's passivity. Power moves through those who stand firm. If you refuse to fight for your own voice, don't expect to lead anyone else. The fear of conflict is one of the greatest enemies of authority. It keeps the chosen ones silent when they should speak, passive when they should act, and hesitant when they should move with certainty. Many have been trained to believe that avoiding confrontation is a sign of wisdom, that maintaining harmony is more important than standing for truth. But that is not what true peace looks like. Real peace is the result of order, of righteousness, of things being in alignment with their divine purpose. Fake peace, the kind the world promotes, is the avoidance of discomfort, the suppression of truth for the sake of appearances, the sacrifice of conviction to avoid making waves. The chosen ones must understand that conflict is not the enemy. Sometimes, conflict is necessary for growth. Sometimes, a storm is required to clear the air. Sometimes, standing firm will mean standing alone, but that is where true strength is developed. The ones who avoid conflict at all costs are the ones who never reach their full potential. They allow fear to dictate their actions, and in doing so, they forfeit their power. When you start embracing your authority, you will face opposition. Some people will challenge you. Some will misunderstand you. Some will try to silence you. That is a sign that you are finally stepping into who you were meant to be. Instead of fearing conflict, Learn to navigate it with wisdom. Speak truth boldly. Stand firm in your convictions. Do not shrink back when resistance comes. Power is not for the passive. It is for those who are willing to hold their ground. The enemy doesn't fear a kind heart. He fears a bold one. Weakness is a tool used to disarm the chosen before they realize their own power. Many have been taught that being passive, being agreeable, being submissive is the same as being righteous. But that is a distortion of truth. The most powerful warriors in history were not passive. They were decisive, strategic, and fearless in the face of opposition. The moment you realize that the enemy wants you weak, everything changes. He doesn't need to destroy you directly. He just needs to convince you to silence yourself, to question your authority, to remain uncertain about your purpose. A weakened warrior is just as ineffective as a defeated one. The chosen ones must wake up to this strategy. They must recognize that their boldness, their willingness to act, their refusal to conform is what makes them dangerous. The enemy's goal is to make you believe that strength is arrogance, that confidence is pride, that authority is something you must apologize for. But the truth is, if you do not walk in your full strength, you are abandoning your calling. There is a reason the world resists those who walk in power. It is because true authority cannot be controlled. The chosen ones do not wait for permission. They do not seek validation. They move with conviction, and that is what makes them unstoppable. The moment you embrace your strength, everything shifts. You stop explaining yourself to those who were never meant to understand you. You stop apologizing for your presence. You stop waiting for approval and start walking in confidence. Weakness was never part of your design. You were called to walk in boldness, in authority, in unwavering power. Jesus flipped tables for a reason. There is a time for patience and a time for power. The chosen ones are not called to passive obedience, but to righteous action. There is a misconception that meekness is the same as weakness, that to be spiritual is to be soft, that true strength is always quiet. But history proves otherwise. Every great movement, every great leader, every great shift required bold action. There is a time for peace, and there is a time for war. Knowing when to step into each is the key to true wisdom. The chosen ones must understand that there are moments when patience is required, but there are also moments when power must be demonstrated. To sit back when action is needed is not humility. It is negligence. Righteous anger is not uncontrolled rage. It is the fire that fuels transformation. It is the force that drives movements, that challenges corruption, that stands against deception. The world needs leaders who are unafraid to take a stand, who will not water down the truth to make it more acceptable, who will not trade their conviction for convenience. Meekness is controlled strength. It is knowing when to strike and when to hold back. It is being aware of your power, but not being ruled by it. The chosen ones must walk this fine line. They must know when to move and when to wait. But make no mistake, when the time for action comes, they must be ready to fight. Most won't understand your shift. Many will leave. That's part of the process. When God starts moving you into real authority, He removes unnecessary attachments. The path of the chosen is not one of mass approval. It is one of refinement, of separation, of walking a road that most cannot follow. When you begin to step into your power, expect resistance, expect misunderstanding, expect people to mislabel you. That is confirmation that you are evolving. Not everyone is meant to go with you to the next level. Some people were only part of your journey for a season, and when that season ends, let them go. The strongest warriors are the ones who can walk alone if necessary. They do not rely on external validation. They do not fear separation. They trust that what is leaving is making room for something greater. The isolation test is where true leaders are formed. The world has enough nice people. What it lacks, what it desperately needs, are warriors who will walk in divine power without apology. If you were meant to fit in, you would not have been set apart. This is your call to rise, to stop shrinking, to take up the mantle you were given. The chosen ones were never meant to live unnoticed, unheard, or overlooked. You were meant to shift atmospheres. Now the question is, will you? If this spoke to you, make sure to subscribe. This is not just a message, it's a movement. And if you're here, you're part of it. See you in the next one.